Good afternoon and welcome back to Russell Does Stuff. This is my YouTube channel. This is the day after the mower giveaway. It is Monday, probably 2:30 or so. I worked 6 hours this morning, and then I'll work 6 hours tomorrow, and then I'll work a couple hours or less on Wednesday. I planned on having this lifestyle years ago, and proper planning is what helped me reach this goal. I had a good time yesterday. It feels good to help people out, and it feels good to smile. Uh, the mower went to a pretty good person. He's a good family man. He has a new family, maybe a new wife, new baby. He, from what I understand, lives out in the country, which is pretty ideal if you ask me. If you can live out in the country, I suggest doing it. We have quite a bit of land here, and it's pretty private for the most part. I can still shoot guns on this property if I want to and still be within the law. But they're building houses everywhere, and it's bringing more people into the neighborhood, and traffic's gone up. Where I used to be able to sit in the middle of the road and have a beer, I can no longer do that. People are speeding. People are just really not giving a hoot about anything. So I've grown tired and weary of my situation. I had always planned on relocating and renting out this investment I made, which I'm going to do. I may up that from 2 years to 1 year, because you just can't get around anymore. You can't go out walking with the wife and the dogs without someone running stop signs. And this is pretty much a place that's isolated. The neighborhood is used now as a thoroughfare to get to the interstate. It's gotten so big. It's probably one of the biggest cities in the United States. I wouldn't consider a city, because it's so massive. The amount of miles or acres per person or something is what makes it a pretty large city on paper. So back to the mower giveaway. From what I understand, Zack skedaddled out of here yesterday with it, and got right back to work. Was catching up on the accounts. He was unable to mow with his mower because it broke, and that just warms my heart. Helping a young man out, helping a young man get back to work. I don't run into a lot of people that have that look in this guy's face. He had that look of drive and determination, and I made him suffer through an interview, but I could just tell he had work that he needed to get done, and your mind ain't right unless you get your work done. So, for example, if I don't have everything I got done, I'm not going to enjoy myself on a trip, So that's that look of intensity that I don't see many people have, and I think it was a really, really good situation. We had some laughs. His buddy that he brought with him was funny, and seemed just as nice as Zack was, which is good. Two good dudes found each other and they're friends. Thumbs up in my book. This morning I was up with the chickens, and it was hot. By about 8:30, it was 83 degrees out and 100 and some degree heat index. Pretty brutal. Just even walking around doing mundane tasks like spraying weeds and stuff is absolutely brutal. really cooks your noodle and cooks everything else. I remember a few years ago, I needed to cool my head off because it was just so hot out. I grabbed a bottle of water that was sitting in the console of my truck and just poured it over my head. And I think the water was probably 120 degrees and I burned my scalp. So as far as the heat goes, pretty hot. I'm used to it. I've been living here in Florida my whole life, and I'm the guy that can stand in a long line on August 15th waiting for a roller coaster ride while everybody else is fanning themselves with the Mickey Mouse fans and stuff and being tortured. I'm relatively I'm comfortable in those conditions. I've lost my voice because of the heat this morning. I mow 25, 26, 27, maybe 28 properties. Like the big property that I have is like mowing 22 properties, and then I catch them on the way home. So this old man puts some work in. I'm always going to work. I'm going to work until I'm probably 70 years old because that's what I want to do. Now, how much work I want to do, I've already decided. When I'm 60, I'll probably just work 6 hours a week. And I'll just keep active. You have to keep active. My research on people, when they stop working, they deteriorate and they fade away, and I don't want that to happen to me. So I've got some bad news. I fired a customer, and I had a good reason, I felt, for firing the customer. He's bragging about shooting a woodpecker with his pellet gun, and we live in a relatively close area from each other, and those woodpeckers, they'll travel from one property to the next, and they're just doing their thing. They're looking for bugs and stuff, and his hangout spot behind his house is made out of wood, and I don't know what got into his brain about doing something like that, but he texted me all up bragging about it, and he didn't understand, because I'm from the country. I've done butchering and farming and all that stuff, and he didn't understand why I wasn't championing that type of behavior. The older you get, you want to enjoy wildlife. You don't want to eliminate it. Cars do enough of that stuff on their own, so I had to let him go. And I'm shocked he hadn't come over and knocked on the door and stuff, but I want to tell him, you bring that woodpecker back to life and I'll be your friend again. But I don't think that'll happen. I think he knows what he did was wrong, and I feel the same way. One thing about people is you can never change their behavior or their way of thinking. Okay. Sometimes I feel like the people are like a brick. You can't explain things to them because their way of thinking has like hedges around it. Like I know the sky's purple, and you can't explain to those people why the sky is blue. You're not going to win that battle ever. And I realize that. Especially when you got friends that lie to you about stuff. You have a decision to make, because we're all human, we all make mistakes and stuff. But when someone does something wrong, you go to them as a brother, as a friend, and you let them know, hey, everybody has free will and stuff, or you do what they tell you to do on the internet and just ghost them, walk away from them, don't have the conversation with them at all, and then let them think, oh, why isn't Russell that does stuff calling and hanging out with me, and or working for me anymore. I like to confront people and tell them, hey, you know, I think what you did was wrong, and you waiting to hear, well, I ain't gonna do that again. I made a mistake, or at least own up to it. But you know, nine out of 10 times you're not going to hear that from people. So I was bummed out about that for about 3 days. There was no reason to do that. He could have come up with another solution to his problem. We all know who that woodpecker is. He pecks on everyone's house early in the morning, and a lot of these houses have aluminum fascia, and we know that it's irritating for the time that the bird's doing it, but it'll eventually move on. So that's what's going on in my life. What else? Had a customer that wanted me to do a bunch of stuff for him, and I don't, at this particular stage in my life, I don't like working for some people. And she had a bunch of odds and ends and stuff at a property that she was fixing to put up on the market, and it was far away from the house, and I don't like getting on the interstate anymore, and I don't want to travel 50 miles to go do something for someone. Money's not a motivating factor anymore. So what I've been doing with requests like that is I've been giving them to some of my contacts. So I gave a big cleanup and tree job to a contact, and they went out and did it, and there was some confusion between the property manager and the owner and my contact that I put on the job. So he called me on Sunday and just wanted to make sure things between him and I were good. And I asked him, I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He said he did a $1,600 job for the reference I gave him. And the homeowner wasn't happy because some weeds didn't get pulled and some mulch didn't get put down or whatever. And it's just a communication thing. No big deal. I hadn't heard about it. Normally when I recommend somebody and that person that I recommend that person to is upset or whatever, I'll get a phone call, and I haven't received a phone call about that yet. I'll let them work it out. Will he bird dog me on the job? I don't know. It's one of those jobs where we have communication between us. He'll ask me, hey, you want a bird dog on it or not? And I'll tell him yes or no, because I know what he's going to make. I know it's going to cost and the time he's going to have into that particular job. But since this job was for some picky people, and it was going to be a little of this and a little of that, and you can give that money to your employees. Russell Who Does Stuff's good. All right, you can catch me on the next one. So I'll keep everybody posted on how Zachary's doing with the mower that he has. I want to get in touch with him maybe in a couple weeks. Maybe find where he's at working somewhere, and turn the camera on, ask him some questions about the mower and if he likes it or not, and maybe get to know the guy. Like I said, he's a perfect stranger. He answered an ad I put on Facebook Marketplace, and we had some fun with it. He, like I said, was so serious and so focused on probably getting back out there to work that I couldn't jostle with him a little bit more, get him to goof around. His friend was a giggler, giggling and having fun. Maybe we'll get Josh to laugh at one of my dumb jokes, or Zachary will laugh at one of my dumb jokes when we see him next. So, all right. Well, this is Wore Out Russell Who Does Stuff. It's about 96, 97 degrees out right now, and I'm sweating like a prostitute in church right now. So I appreciate all my subscribers. When we get 200 subscribers, we're going to throw a party with the shop dogs and we're going to celebrate. So we'll catch you on the next one.